All right, here we go. Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming miniature video. In today's video, we're going to continue on painting our 1/72nd scale Prussians and French for our commission. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous video or not, but when I opened the Italeri Prussian box for this commission, it came with 3 sprues. 2 of them were actually Prussian. The third one was French. I didn't realize that until I started, gluing them together and cleaning them and getting them ready. When I started to get them ready, I said, these guys don't look Prussian. Their uniform's weird. And then I noticed on their cartridge box, they had the N, right, for Napoleon. And I was like, and their shakos don't look like Prussian shakos. They look like French shakos. So I dug the sprue out of the trash, and I noticed that on the sprue itself there was a part number, and so I referenced the part number on the Italeri site, and it said French Light Infantry. So I was feeling good about myself, like I was able to identify this. I was like, oh, check that out. I'm not going insane. So I'm painting them appropriately. I'm going to paint them as French and not, Prussians. And I can't believe that I forgot to paint 2 of these models. They're trench coats. So once I get them painted, then they'll be caught up with the rest of the battalions. Instead of painting all of the Prussians with like a generic regimental color, I'm going to do a count of the figures and see if I've got enough. I know I've got enough to do at least 2, but I'm thinking 4, maybe 3 or 4. So what I'd like to do is kind of organize the figures into 4 regiments and give each one its own turn back color. Based on actual Prussian regiments. So one might be red, another might be green, another might be yellow, salmon, black. I don't know. I'll have to do a little research to see what's appropriate. And if there's enough with the greatcoats, I'm going to form them up into Landwehr. Even though I know the line regiments would wear the greatcoat as well, but it's just easier to identify that way. So I've got a couple of things to talk about. I'm currently uploading, while we're streaming, I think I'm currently uploading a video to my YouTube channel. And I have it set to go live at 10 o'clock, which is an hour from now. It's the third video in my Land of the Free boot camp. It's the orders video. This flag is blocking the light on this model. Now you might notice, I don't know if you notice, but the drummer is the guy I just painted. And you can see that wet, the paint looks, or the color looks appropriate, but dry, it looks a little, I don't know, gray? It looks better wet, is what I'm trying to say. It's what I'm using is what I'm using is light Prussian blue. I tried using just, also it's AK. I tried using Prussian blue from Vallejo, and it comes out exactly the same color as light Prussian blue. But Vallejo also has a color called dark Prussian blue. I tried using that as well, and it dries kind of a purple, and I didn't like it. So I wonder if AK or MiG has a dark Prussian. My war paints, they have this thing called Dark Sky, which is very much like dark Prussian. I guess but it's got more of a purple look to it. I don't want purple. ultramarine blue. Actually, that might be good. You know what? I'm going to do a very small experiment here with ultramarine blue. It doesn't look shaken up. Okay, well, we're going to try this again. So in my last live stream, I think I mentioned Armored Assault. Yeah, I think it's called Armored Assault. I was watching some like videos about this new game coming out called Armored Assault. This 10 millimeter dystopian. I'm not going to say dystopian. It's kind of like steampunk. Is what I think. It's like a it looks like a really cool game. And they've organized their units um, it's they've organized their units based on the sprue that they've made. Um, two of the sprues makes a small unit, and then four of the sprues makes a medium unit, and then six of the sprues would make a large unit. Of all the different unit types that are on that sprue, I don't think I like that. I mean, I enjoy that they are trying, but what if I don't want this part and I only want this part? Well, you got to buy the whole sprue, and you got to buy two sprues at a time, right, to make the unit. Let's experiment on this wounded guy. Okay, what color am I using? I'm using this ultramarine blue. I wonder if it dries a different shade. I guess we're going to find out. Hmm. It seems like it's got a little bit of purple in it. But that does make it it does give it a different hue. I don't like it. I mean, I like the color, but I don't like the representation of Prussian. I'm going to try dark sky. Ooh, deep blue. Hold on. I'm going to try both of them actually, but because here's the Vallejo Prussian and dark Prussian. You would think, I mean, just looking at the bottle, it looks really good. It looks perfect. But then when you put it on the figure, it looks purple. Okay, I'll put this on the other wounded guy. Okay, this one is deep blue. I don't think there's any change. Which means deep blue could operate as Prussian blue. Actually, I like it quite a bit, actually, just by just looking at it. Okay, let me compare it to an actual Prussian blue. Okay. Deep blue from War Paint, which is the army painter, is the same as AK Light Prussian and Vallejo Prussian. These three are all like exactly the same. There's no need to experiment because they're all blue. But I can't help myself. Okay, we're going to try this dark sky. Okay, it's dark. This dark sky is probably what I think of as Prussian blue. I mean, being very dark. A dark blue. Almost black. Yeah, it's dark. I like it. Okay. Yeah, it's extremely dark. Now I just have to see how it dries because a lot of times your wet paint doesn't um, reflect what it will actually look like once it dries. And I'm actually very impressed with the Italeri models. They they've got a lot of detail on them. I was very happy with the Italeri models. This is the dark sky. Dark sky. Is it the dark sky? What am I doing? Yeah, dark sky. Okay, now that it's drying with a little bit of a purple. That that purple tint, I think, is what makes it darker. Wish I could get just a dark blue, but it be actually a dark blue. Okay. All right. Before I like separate all these figures and try to figure out which ones, which how I can put them into units, I'm gonna go ahead and paint their backpacks. Um, this darker, it's called flat brown, but it's kind of dark. I want it to be uh uh like a monster brown. I want it to be a little bit less dark. Flat earth looks good. Brown base. looks a lot lighter. I think I'm going to do brown base. For all their backpacks. I've already done their haversacks today. I did their blankets, the horse blankets. Whoa, okay. Might have been too much water. So I was talking about armored assault. Sorry. I'm actually kind of excited about it because it's new. It's a new game, but uh, I like the combat mechanics. I think the combat mechanics works really smoothly. It's a dice pool game, so you get a number of dice based on your unit and your firepower and the target. And it is a figure removal game. Which is cool. I dig figure removal games, just like uh, non-figure removal games. But it's kind of a combination of both, which kind of reminds me of Land of the Free. Land of the Free is not a figure removal game, but it has a similar mechanic where you get a number of hits, and then at a certain point, the unit degrades, like from fit to shaken to exhausted to eliminated. They don't call it eliminated, they call it shattered in Land of the Free. But that's pretty much what it is. It's eliminated. It's pick it up, remove it from the table. Where Armored Assault, you take a number of hits and you keep track of the hits until you get to a certain number. And instead of the unit degrading, you pick up a base. Effectively doing the same thing. Because when you attack based on how many bases you have. So it's not like my individual tank shoots at your individual tank. It's not like that. It's my tank unit which might have multiple tanks, shoots at your tank unit, doing hits. Kind of a skirmish, non-skirmish game. It uses proprietary dice. These dice have symbols on them. And I'm totally okay with proprietary dice. I think that's perfectly fine for a game mechanic. So instead of having to look something up in a chart, like I rolled a 7, so what did I get? Instead of doing that, you just say, "Oh, I got 3 hits on the dice." So it eliminates the need to look it up on a chart. Now, it's a new game, so I understand the limitations of having only 2 armies. There's only 2 armies. There's the Empire and the Crown. The Crown kind of looks like British, and the Empire looks like Japanese or Chinese. And this 2-player starter set is called Singapore. Now, what I don't know about the game is the lore. And that's very important to me. If I want a game with no lore, I'll play chess. I know they do have lore, I just don't know what it is. Now here's my gripe. And it's not really a gripe because I understand, like I said, I understand that they only have 2 armies right now. So if I wanted to get started playing Armored Assault, I could get the 2-player starter, or I could get a single-player faction, like a starter army, but only for the Empire or the Crown. And then down the road, they might release a faction that I really like. But I've already got my Crown forces. So I'd have to get even more armies. Me personally, that's no problem because what do? I always get everything. Or I usually get at least two different factions. So I can play with an opponent. And I don't know if they've got anything scheduled. I haven't dug deep enough into the game to find out. But I do plan to read some lore. I personally tend not to be interested in dystopian style universes. You know, when it's doom and gloom around every corner, I'm not into that. I know there's a lot of people that are. I don't know what the appeal of that is. But it kind of doesn't look like doom and gloom. It kind of looks like just a weird world. You know, like they've gone in a steampunk direction. And if that's the case, I'm okay with that. I don't know if you guys remember a game called Mutant Chronicles. I think the miniature game was called Warzone. The role playing game was called Mutant Chronicles. That was kind of a weird world game. And the way they explained it, which I'm glad they did, you know, it's like the near future, but a gate had opened up and these chaos creatures had came through, and the presence of these chaos creatures, whoop, my finger almost slipped. The presence, just the mere presence of these chaos creatures had caused technology to revert, which it's not a very good description or very plausible the way it was written. But I can appreciate the attempt at trying to justify why technology looked the way it did. So that's enough about armored assault. Oh, I just popped a figure. See if I can get it to go right back on. Okay. So I put a very small order in from Peter Pig. Um, Last night? Maybe it was last night? No, it was yesterday afternoon. Either way, it wasn't that long ago. Um, Dismounted dragoons and horse handlers. Because I'm looking forward past Freeman's Farm. I'm thinking Princeton. Princeton is a scenario, an actual battle that took place, but I don't really see it as being fair for the players. It's like, I think it's heavily weighted towards the Continentals. And I don't mind battles that are asymmetrical because historically that would be correct. But why would you want to play a battle like that? If you already know who's going to win, it's not much of a game at that point. It's just a reenactment or a simulation of what had actually happened. I want games that I play, scenarios or whatever, to have a chance for both sides to win. But there's something about Princeton that really um, piques my interest. So maybe I'll adjust the scenario, or maybe I just need to look into it a little bit deeper to see why so many companies have written a scenario for the Princeton battle. But either way, I had ordered some dismounted dragoons as well as horse handlers I could have waited. I'm weak-willed when it comes, no self-control. I'm also going to need some wagons. Some ammo carts or caissons or whatever you call them. Because that's kind of the reason for the game is the British have these wagons and they're trying to get them to Princeton. And the Continentals are trying to stop it. But they outnumber the British like 10 to 1. I'll figure something out. Now, I plan to record another episode of the boot camp this afternoon. But with editing and everything, it probably won't go out for a few days. So I went through a bunch of my old miniatures and I found a bunch of my old Warhammer 40K models. I mean, ones that I never had really painted or played with, but I had started them, like assembled them or glued them together or whatever. And so what I did yesterday, I primed them. Basically to hide the horrendous paint jobs that were on them. And to give them kind of a new look. And then I posted them on eBay. So if you're interested in some, when I say classic, I mean 1992 kind of classic. Old school. Um, there's like orcs and marines. There's some chaos, a couple of chaos marines, a couple orc champions or war bosses or whatever you call them, and then just regular orcs, either metal or plastic. They probably came out of a set. I can't remember. 1992 was a couple of years ago. I know there's an old classic Goscool in there. There's a Titus, uh, Herald of the Plague God. There's like a warp cannon, or I guess they call it a shock attack. And there's some assault marines. They're jump packs. Um, there's some squigs. These are like little baby squigs. When I used to own my brick and mortar store, it was called the War Room. And I carried Games Workshop stuff, paints, and fantasy and 40K. Blood Bowl and Blood Steez or whatever it was called. The Navy game. My sons would go over to the wall and take units for their own armies. And that's where I think most of this came from, was from my son's collections that no longer play the game. I found a Warhammer 40K box out in the garage with a bunch of broken I'm not going to call them broken. They're not assembled, not glued together figures. And I went in and took all day yesterday to try to put together what I could. I couldn't put everything together because I didn't have enough arms or enough weapons or whatever. So I still have some bits. Um, and I'm thinking about just putting all the bits in a box or in a bag and selling them as bits. Maybe. So when I was posting the orc, Gazcool, the most famous orc war boss, I didn't really know who he was, right? Because I'm not fluent in all these special characters and everything. So I scoured the internet looking for a match to the model that I have and finding out who he is and all that. So I was thinking I was going to put this model on there for like $15, right? I was thinking to myself, it's a classic, it's way out of print, but it's only one model. So let me maybe post it for $15. And then I scoured the web looking for this guy and finding out what his name was and all that. And I found him. And I found him for sale on, eBay or maybe it wasn't eBay, maybe it was another Etsy or something. But it was a site where it was for sale. And the guy was selling it for $56. And I said, "Oh my God. Am I under evaluating this model?" So then I looked around to see if I could find other instances of this model for sale. And every one I found was at least $40 or more. So I said, okay, I'm going to list it for like $39.99 or something like that. After a couple of weeks, if it doesn't sell, I might drop the price. But yeah, it might be a collector's item or something. I don't even know. The Black Lotus of Warhammer. Could be. I know all the orc players that I used to play against really loved that war boss. So stat-wise, it might actually be a good model. But they make a new version of that model. But that wouldn't be a collector's item. And I got out those French half tracks. If you remember, I bought these French 3D printed French half tracks from a guy. You had them listed as 15 millimeter. And then I got the Flames of War 21st Division. And, it comes with those half tracks. But those 3D printed ones, they are tiny. I mean, maybe 2 models would fit in the back. So I decided I'm going to sell them. I bought them and then I'm going to sell them. They're not painted or anything. They're just plastic. But I'm going to sell them as 10 to 12 millimeter and not 15 millimeter, which I think is more appropriate to the actual size that these models are. So somebody who's doing like 12 mil World War II or N scale, maybe would be interested, because I don't think anybody else is selling them. I mean, you can find Tigers and Panthers and Hanomags, but not these French half-tracks. That's why I bought it from the guy in the first place. But then they released a reprint of the 21st Division box, and I picked that up. And the half tracks are the wrong size. So I haven't taken pictures and posted those yet, but I'm going to do that today or tonight. Uh, the limbers, right? I have some limbers. I think I've got 4 total. I need to figure out how I want to do that. The Land of the Free rules don't give any rules for limber models. They have rules for limbering and unlimbering. But it's much like Napoleon's battles, where it's just the way you position the model determines if you're limbered or unlimbered. Basically, if you set them up in march column, they're limbered. And if you set them up in line, they're unlimbered. So there's no need to make a limber base. I just want to. Now, limbers are usually very long. So much like the dismounted cav, right? Okay, that's done. Packs are done. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of chilly in the house, so I put my field cap on, my World War II field cap. I put it on backwards so that I can put my headset on. Okay. So just we're gonna organize these guys, not counting the French, obviously, and not counting the officers, obviously. I just want to see how many figures I have here. Okay, I got them in groups of 6. So 4 stands or 4 sticks should be 24 figures, right? So that would be like 1 brigade or battalion. That would be like 2. That's 22. Okay. So almost 3 Prussians. That's okay. Almost 3. Okay. So I just need to figure out the 3 facing colors I want to use. And I want to mix and match poses. So like I'll have to figure it out, but like these 8 models are all standing and firing. So I'd like to do 2 or 3 per battalion. And then, okay, hold on, back up. Back the hell up. I was going to do a land rear. Okay, let's see if how many great coats I have. I don't think I've got that many. 6. 7, 8. Okay, I've only got 8. So that would be almost not even worth it. Yeah, I'm going to mix and match them. Yeah, I'm not going to do land beer specific. There's an arm. Hold on. Somebody lost an arm. What the hell? Okay, somebody lost an arm. I gotta find him and glue him. Is one of the hat models, because the hats you had to assemble. There's a guy with no arm. Oh shit. There's 2 of them. I was like, both of them don't have an arm. There's a third one. What the heck is going on here? Okay, I've only got 2 arms here. I'm wondering if I... have an arm under one of these bases. Yeah, the hat guys, I'm not impressed with the hat. 1/72 scale guys. Okay, I've only got 2 arms here, but there are 3 hat models without an arm. Okay. Mainly because they're super soft plastic. And apparently they don't want to glue together. Okay. I don't think it's on here. Maybe I dropped it on the ground. I did. I found third arm. Okay. Well, that sucks. Let's get my Gorilla Glue back. Okay. 3 regiments. Okay. I had it on and then I popped it right out. Let's try that again. When I was originally putting these models together, this was the most time-consuming, getting those arms on there. Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking. Can't be talking and thinking at the same time. Or I shouldn't say thinking, I should say concentrating. Arrgh. Okay, the arms are glued back. Let's see if they stay. Especially when I package them up and send it to this customer. I'm going to have to be like extra careful with the arms. Which You would think you wouldn't have to be, but what can you do, right? They're pretty much ready to go except for their collars and cuffs. Oh no, I gotta do gray. Gray um bedrolls. But I think I want to do those after I do the collars so that they're not so they don't interfere. Okay. So give me a little bit of time to let's pull up the Napoleonic uniforms website that I use. Go to Prussia, line infantry. Okay, I like that one. Okay, so one of them is going to be white. And the flag looks like something I could actually paint. Um that's not red. That's kind of a maroon color. It's really dark. Now that's also maroon. That looks red, but that looks maroon. I don't know. Maybe it's just my eyes playing tricks on me. Okay, that no. See, that one looks lighter than that one. That's just maybe because of the yellow trim. But either way, okay, these guys look light. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a red. I think that's why I got this color out because I was thinking I was going to do the maroon. Okay, white and red seems like. And yellow. Yellow, that pops. What do you think? I think it pops. Even though it's got the yellow collars and cuffs, he still has the red turnbacks. So maybe I just do all the turnbacks right now. I can do that flag. That's weird though. All red? Let me see if the staff has a flag. Nope. I don't see a flag. Is that the 10th? Okay, the 10th. So when I do it, I want to tell the guy we did the 2nd Battalion or 2nd Regiment, 1st Battalion, 2nd Regiment. If you look at the 2nd Battalion, it's probably different. No, it's the same. 3rd Battalion is usually the reserve battalion, right? You'll notice the 3rd Battalion almost always has the black straps. See how the straps are all black? I could do that, but I think I'm just going to do the 1st Battalion of 3 different regiments. It'll help him out. Let's go to France. Light infantry. Let's pull up the 4th. Okay, they just have red collars. Unless they're voltigeurs. Okay. All right, we're back. I figured it out. I'm going to have to get a very fine tip brush. I'm not sure. I think the officers are supposed to have red. Okay, let me go back to my thing. That looks like officers. Let me just show you what I'm looking at. It's aide de camps. Yeah, red collars and cuffs, I think is what I'm going to do with them. That's artillery over there, huh? Okay. This officer has 2 epaulets. So it should be like this guy. I think he's got that badge as well. Yeah, I don't think these guys have any uniforms. Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, red. But they don't have plumes. Right? You got 2 epaulets and no plumes. What the heck? It's a Blucher. He's got 2 epaulets and no plume. But he's an aide-de-camp. I guess they're named. Okay, wow. Okay. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We can close that. Need to go with a very sharp tip. Not so much. Ooh, what about this guy? Yeah, there we go. So because I'm going to be doing this kind of assembly line, I think I'm just going to do turnbacks on everybody. Except for the French. Their turnbacks were blue, so I'm not going to touch them. Okay, these guys don't have... What the... Clumsy fingers today. Clumsy fingers. Okay, we're just doing turnbacks. Okay, these wounded guys on the ground. Really? It's got this errant hair just sticking out. Hell, it's got a... Dang, this has got a bunch of them. Hold on. thought that was a sharp tip, and I thought I had cleaned my brushes to the point where, okay, now it's got a sharp tip. Okay, so let me try another one. Got an errant hair as well. Let's see what I can do. Everybody's turnbacks are going to be red in the Prussian army. And you can't see some of them because of their packs and their bags and stuff. So it should be fairly quick to go through these turnbacks because you can't see them. I need light. Okay, here we go. Without my hand or my brush blocking the light. So the next video for my boot camp should be commanders, which basically says like all the things that how the commanders influence the battlefield. We haven't really got to the combat section yet, where we got like melee and shooting. We're kind of getting the basics out of the way. Yeah, this one's got an errant hair sticking out as well. Whoops. I think the either I don't know how long it's going to take me to film that video. If it doesn't take that long, then I might move into the next chapter, which I think is the turn sequence. I might go in and just cut this one little hair off. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. It's painting things I don't want it to paint. Okay. Moving on. And I still don't know how I want to base my Napoleonic, guys. I think 20 by 30 is the way I'm going to do. 4 figures on a 20 by 30. But I really like the look of the 6 figures on a 40 by 30. Now basically if it's 1 centimeter per figure, like on the 20 by 30, then when I go into line, because it's 2 ranks, there's only 12 figures in the front, so it would be 12 centimeters. One reason why I went with 15 millimeter over 28 is so that I could play bigger battles on a smaller table. Right? I mean, that's usually why you go with smaller figures. Okay. But if I go with the land of the free method, I'm basically going to have 4 bases of 6 figures. Same number of figures, less bases, because they're bigger. But now the problem is with 4 of them, That's 160 because they're 40 across, and if I do 4 times 4 is 16. So we got 160 millimeter or 16 centimeters. So it occupies more space with less bases. Now black powder has 6 bases across the front, usually 40 millimeters. So you're looking at 240 millimeters. On a black powder unit. So I would still be saving space, but it wouldn't be half. So it goes from 12 to 16 to 24. Well, we're definitely not doing the 28 millimeter models. So now I'm just thinking 12 or 16. Wow, you can't see any turnbacks on those two guys. Okay. Hmm. Now with Land of the Free, you know, 3 stands as a unit. Well, so is 5, 2 and 1. But generally speaking, it's 3 stands. But that wouldn't look good with the Napoleonic battle. So I wanted to go with an even number of models, or an even number of bases. That's why I said 4 bases. Can I get in there with this brush? Yep. Okay. All right. Now I got to be concerned about these guys' arms because I just glued them on. Luckily, I'm just painting turnbacks. I should have these guys finished tonight, I would think. Well, painted. I still have to wash and then dull coat. Okay. The hat models look pretty good, detail wise, and shape and size and everything. I just don't like the fact that it's super soft plastic and it doesn't glue together very well. I was having the same problem with the Russian artillery. Those were hat as well. Okay, well, all the turnbacks are done. And that's what we're going to call it on the stream. I'm going to end the stream right here. Now, there's nothing saying I can't do a 3-stand Napoleonic regiment as well, but you put them into attack column, it just doesn't look right. You got 2 in the front and 1 in the back. It just doesn't, to me, it just doesn't look right. But 4 would work okay because then you could build field squares, you could do march column, you could do line, you could do attack columns. So I think the next Napoleonic unit that I paint, I'm going to base that way and just see what it looks like, see how it feels. All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming out and checking out my live stream here. We tend to stream only for a couple hours. I need to go get me something to eat, and then I'm also going to be clearing the table and filming another episode of the boot camp. So look forward to that maybe in the next few days. But I did just upload episode 3 of the boot camp, which was orders, maneuver orders, and combat orders. So check that out. And interpenetration, and not sure what else was in that video. But that's where we end it. I'll catch you again. Don't know when. Stay tuned. Either subscribe and make sure you hit the notification icon so when I go live, you'll know about it. And be sure to check out my eBay store if you're interested in any of those Warhammer figures I just uploaded. And I'll catch you next time.